The book that I read for my book project is called Allies, and it was written by the author known as Alan Gratz. So the book primarily focuses on D-Day, which is the day that France was at least began to be liberated from German control. It was a very chaotic operation. The book specifically focuses on the Omaha Beach part of D-Day that you can see here. This is the carnage afterward, and it was the bloodiest beach, and it was an American beach. And there are many parties involved in D-Day, both in the real thing, and there's many different perspectives in this book. Um, so they start off with an American infantryman. His name is D. His full name is Dietrich Zimmermann, and basically he's a refugee from Germany who went into the army under the name of Douglas Zimmerman or Douglas Carpenter, and then he got to go to D-Day and fight against his oppressor, and he eventually survives Omaha Beach, like the landings, and then he goes to a what's called a Widerstands nest, and he took over that bunker, and he helped a lot of the other characters as well. He also, most of the carnage that we see, most of the horrifying stuff, we see it through his eyes. And then it continues with the French Resistance. So, the main character in this part of the novel is Samira. So her mom is part of the French Resistance, and there's a line. It says, "The dice are on the carpet, and it's hot in Suez." That is the code word for D-Day to the French Resistance. So she's going to tell that to the Maquis, who are the resistance fighters, but they don't get the chance to get there because she tries to save someone, and she gets captured. So Samira, along with a dog, gets to try to go to the Maquis and deliver the message. So she runs across a bridge with acting from the dog, and then eventually she just gets there. And then she tells the Maquis she helps destroy a railroad and some telephone line, and she helps destroy some railroads and telephone lines. And then there's a British tank crew. The driver is Bill, and that's where we see the perspective from. Basically, they're trying to take out some of the larger batteries with their gun on the tank, and they need to dig a hole underneath the tank in order to get the angle right. So they go out, and D, as well as his fellow troops, helps him with that endeavor, and eventually they blow up the artillery. He also, another German gun notices him, and he gets blown up along with his entire tank. He was very obsessed with Normandy, and his father was a soldier during World War One. And then there's Canadian paratroopers. So the two that are in the book are called James and Sam. So both of them are together in the same unit, and what they do is they have to take a chateau. They were dropped in the wrong place, but they found a chateau which was the base of German operations in that area. So they decided, okay, let's take it. So there were 96 German troops to their something around 20, and they managed to take the chateau. Most of their guys get killed. There's like 5 people left after the chateau's gone, but they made around 50 Germans surrender after they used some creative improvised weaponry. And then there's another American medic involved, and he treats D, as well as so he's a man of color. So what happens is that he has to treat a white man, and the white man has no injuries on the outside, but it's internal, and it's a sucking chest wound, which basically messes up the lungs. So he calls him over to get a second opinion, and then the white medic gets quite mad at the patient, and it's odd. It's just kind of like showing how much racism there was in the army at the time. That person, that soldier, he made Henry, that's the medic's name. He made his life at boot camp like hell. And then there's Monique. She was a French girl who wanted to be a doctor, so she cared for some of the wounded soldiers since and she cared for Dee as well as a few other soldiers. And that was pretty much the whole book. So the book takes place over the course of one single day. And the diary that I wrote for Dee was basically summing up the events that happened in one sort of chapter part as one diary entry. And basically the chapter happens, so there's a little bit of Dee, then it talks about Samira, then it talks about Dee, then it talks about Bill, then it talks about Samira, then it talks about James and Sam, then it talks about Henry, and then it talks about Dee, and then it talks about Monique, and then it talks about everyone. And that's sort of the story.